we're off to run an intro. Hey, guess what's going to happen next, boys and girls?
This is 2OF Entertainment.
Welcome to the Lost Dollar Business Club, where we talk about business, and not just business. We talk about what makes businesses go up and what makes businesses go down. If you're interested in businesses, this is where it is. We talk about the global economy. We talk about global politics. We talk about everything and anything business related that affects your life on a global scale as well as a local scale. And don't miss after the show, Lost and Found. Oh, and here we is.
Are we good, Stephen? Are we good?
We're live, baby. We are
live.
We are live, and we're broadcasting all over the world. We are the people. So it's very exciting. And today's an exciting show.
It is.
Because we have a landsman on, I think. And it's always exciting when we have a landsman on.
Because
then I can talk like this, and I can have a bagel.
Yes,
It's very
you can.
nice. It's like Jackie Mason. So, all right, Michael, this is a Michael guest, everybody. So you know it's going to be a good guest, not like the guest that David and I bring on.
Oh no,
strippers from OnlyFans and stuff. So Michael brought on a real guest. So who'd you bring on today, Michael?
We do have a real guest. We have Morris Pearl, who is with the Patriotic Millionaires. He's the executive director there. And he was formerly a managing director at BlackRock, which, as you all know, is the world's largest asset management firm. Morris worked on, did some work restructuring things for the Citibank bailout in 2008, which we've talked about quite a bit on this show. And he had a revelation as a result of that work. And I first met Morris Pearl during the COVID crisis a few years ago, because wealth inequality has always been a topic of mine. And I got to just have a chat with him, learn a little bit about the organization. And now, 4 years later, wealth inequality is worse than ever, depending on what side of the fence you're on. And we'd love to talk with Morris about his evolution, about the evolution of the organization, and where we are today.
Very cool. And we'd like to
welcome to the party, John.
Yeah, we'd like to welcome John back from hunting the Nazis. Thanks for joining. And so
he's
John,
the head of nothing, apparently. So there you go.
He found no Nazi gold. So there you go.
Yeah.
We're all ahead of nothing.
There you go. Well, let's bring Morris in, and so let's hear about wealth inequality, which is my favorite subject.
Well, should we just run some ads before we start, and then?
Would you like to pay some bills first, and then let Morris have a full
David.
45 minutes of no interruption? Go ahead, David.
Let's do that.
Get the freedom and the flexibility of remote work in the lucrative tech industry. Bend your life around the world. Bandicoot is the premier course and community for thriving in a remote tech career. Join the revolution today. Bandicoot.com, official partner of the Lost Dollar Business Club.
With the new HBN 3-outlet sensing countdown timer with remote control, you can set your whole house up to look like Christmas 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The timer comes with a 2, 4, 6, and 8-hour countdown function. The outlets can be easily operated by hand or by a remote control with the dusk to dawn on and off switch. And they come with 3, 2, and 1 outlet accessories. We use them here at 2OF Entertainment.
All
Hey,
right.
we're back.
Got
everything done. John, we'll talk when we do Lost and Found. John, you can tell us all about how you were hunting Nazi gold. That'll be fun to hear.
John will tell us the story.
Yeah,
welcome back to the show, John. Welcome back to the show.
Back from your holiday. And Morris Pearl, though,
a
former BlackRock executives. And for those that BlackRock is a real big fund. It's not a BlackRock somewhere, just so we're clear. Morris is going to talk about inequality and wealth. So that'll be good. And all those billionaires will just laugh at you poor people. And I'm good with that. And there you have it. So Morris is probably a billionaire. So we should be nice to him, because later
let's be nice, Stephen.
We want to be in the will. You know what I'm saying? So there you go. All right, let's bring Morris in, everybody. Morris, welcome to the show. How are you?
Good morning. I'm great.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good to hear. And where are you calling in from, Morris?
I am in my office in New York City, right in front of Grand Central Station over here.
Okay,
Very
great.
nice.
Well, world's cultural capital. So glad you're calling in from New York.
Oh,
And
that's so American. Come on,
There we go.
of course, David. Of course, David. What?
That's just rubbish. Cultured American. That's an oxymoron. Come on, let's start. Let's start as we mean to go on.
Keep us real. Keep us real, David. All right. So, Morris, tell us a little bit about Patriotic Millionaires and how you got involved with it and what its mission is.
Well, sure. We have a group of a few hundred people here in the United States and about 60 some in the United Kingdom, where we have 18 staff in the United States, 3 in the United Kingdom, and 1 in Canada. And basically, we're operating kind of like a PR firm, a press office, but not for profit. We're like a co-op run for these few hundred people, and we help those people speak out and explain that this gross inequality we're seeing is not good for us rich people either. We don't want the United States to end up like South Africa was when I was a teenager. That did not end well for the rich people. And so we're trying to do something about it. I feel that it started a little over 10 years ago in the beginning of the Obama administration. At that time, we tried to get him to let the Bush tax cuts expire for the top bracket and let that go back up from, believe it or not, it was from like 34 to 39%. He decided to compromise and do this and do that. But a year later, he realized we were actually helping him do what he wanted to do. And he asked us to stand with him when he gave his famous Buffett Rule speech about how it's unfair that rich people like us and Mr. Buffett were paying lower tax rates than our assistants. And we did that standing with him on the podium in the White House. Since then, I think we've really moved the window a little bit from our ideas of rich people paying the same tax rates as people that work for a living being a crazy left-wing idea to being a part of the conversation, at least. The former president of the United States, Joe Biden, embraced this in his budget. The previous chairman of the Senate Finance Committee, Ron Wyden, was talking about this and proposing ideas that we had. And so we've really moved the window a little bit over the course of the last few years as more and more people have realized, and more are realizing in the last few weeks, how much power these small number of rich people have compared to everyone else in our country. So that's basically what the Patriotic Millionaires are doing. We get our hundreds of members to speak out, to write letters, to talk to journalists, to be on shows like yours, and we're seeing some progress.
But unfortunately, you have the
Steve.
orange man and got no progress. And we've talked about this on the show, and I've said this, and I'll repeat it because you haven't seen the show and we discussed this before. You've got 360 million people in America, and we'll say that 30 to 60 million people are okay. Like, they don't worry about their bills. Everything is good. You have another 300 million people that they're debating, can I go out to dinner, or do I have to pay the electric bill? Or can I put gas in the car, whatever it might be? And I've said this, and my parents used to say this, when 300 million people, or if you want 7 billion people, we'll say there's 1 billion people on the planet are doing okay. When 300 million people decide that they want to take a picnic, you're not going to stop, because some of the 300 million are your military that can barely make ends meet. They're your police departments. So if Trump doesn't see it, or Musk doesn't see it, it's great that you have 200 million, or you have 200 members. But I don't think writing letters and whatever is going to do it. There has to be something more. The Democrats, good luck with that, have to grow a pair of balls, and they're going to have to actually make a stand. And I think you need to forget taxing the people. Let's tax the companies. Taxing the rich, great. You tax us, that's wonderful, pay our share. However, you can't tax someone who's making $50,000 a year, because they can't afford to live in America for $50,000 a year. So you're going to have to start taxing corporations again, and not like have, all the stuff that we keep doing. That's my opinion. You're from BlackRock, so of course you're much smarter. You tell me.
Well, I don't know if I'm any smarter or not, but I have been thinking about this for a while. First of all, I agree that we can't ask people to make $50,000 a year to pay any more taxes.
Right.
In fact, I think those people should be paying less taxes than they are now. We've actually proposed a cost of living exemption tax proposal, which would lower taxes for people who make less than cost of living, which we think is around $40,000 a year for a single person at a minimum, and above that for people with families. And that those people that make millions of dollars a year should be paying substantially more taxes to make up for that. We believe that the problem is that, well, all companies are owned by people. Somebody benefits from these companies, and those people should be paying taxes as they become richer and richer and richer. Part of the problem, which Ron Wyden, from the United States Senate from Oregon, has been talking about for years, is this buy, borrow, die thing. Somebody like Elon Musk, who's a billionaire, might pay no taxes at all because we only have an income tax. And if you're a billionaire, you don't need any income. He can borrow billions of dollars to live very well, buy Twitter, do whatever he wants without having any taxable income at all. So we believe that those people who are making a lot of money should be charged some taxes on the money they make, and we should get rid of this narrow definition of income, which applies very simply to, people who work for a living. They get tax deducted from their paycheck every single week, but doesn't really apply to people like me. I can withdraw money from my stock market account anytime I want. But that's not considered income, so I don't pay any tax at all. Once in a while, yes, I do have some, what they call it, a realization event, and I do choose to pay some taxes, but I don't generally have to unless I decide that's what I want to do. So I think we have to really change things so that investors, people who don't work but who live off of their wealth and the gains from their wealth, pay taxes just like people who work for a living and get a paycheck and have taxes deducted from a paycheck every single week.
What do you think of the idea of where that tax cutoff needs to be thought of? Because when back in the Occupy Wall Street days of 2011, people were talking about the 99% versus the 1%. But the reality is it's the top 10th of 1%, the top 16,000 people in America who are really having the greater wealth inequality these days. So what are your thoughts on that line where the line's drawn?
We think the line should be around $1 million a year. We don't think that people who make five figures should pay. We think people who make five figures should pay less tax than they do now. And we honestly don't think that people with six-figure income should be paying more taxes either. Mm-hmm. We think it's those small number of people that make over around $1 million a year should be paying more taxes, and that there should be even higher brackets as you go to even higher incomes. I think part of the thing is that so many Americans, they can't even conceive of these things. I was asked, at one event someplace, how it is that Jeff Bezos is a billionaire because he only makes $200,000 a year. I'm thinking that's so irrelevant. For a guy who owns Amazon, whether he makes a salary or not. Mm-hmm. And I think this is just so beyond the normal kind of experience.
I'm just going to interrupt, Morris. I think this is the problem. The problem is that is not tax. The problem is information. If all the world was aware of how everything's stacked against them, then we may be moving towards some form of change. But just the very thought that somebody who's a billionaire doesn't pay any tax, and then people who are, I have a tiny little pension. I've still got to pay tax on that. But is that fair? Yes, because there are things that I have to contribute towards. But when you have billionaires who are not paying any tax, how many people actually on this planet are aware of that? It's nice for us to sit and talk about it, all chummy, but what about telling the world about it? Because the revolution will start the next day when people wake up to that fact. Sure.
No, it won't.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Morris. stop.
We are. I mean, I wrote a book called Tax the Rich.
Yeah, but if people can't afford to buy the book, or the local
Is it,
library
is
has
it
been,
affordable?
or
Is it
the
affordable, Morris?
Yeah, we
or the
we give
local
them- we
or the
give them-
local library has been closed down due to lack of funding,
Yeah,
Morse
you
gives
know,
them away.
or
They're free.
yeah,
They're free, David. They're
yes,
free. You don't have to pay for it.
Right.
Yeah.
We'd be
well, it's
happy
going to be
to
a hell of a
send-
lot of books he's got to give away. Then that's all I can say.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I'm talking to you, frankly.
Right.
We are making some progress. A lot more people are aware of this now than was the case, 10 years ago when we started this. That's exactly what our members are trying to do. We're going on your show. We're going on other people's shows. We're talking to journalists. We're doing public events. We've got Congress people and senators joining with us. So yeah, we're trying to do exactly that, sir, as you suggest, and inform people.
So let me
There-
let me
there-
ask you that, if I
Go
may
ahead.
ask this question. So
Yeah.
I think it's very cool that you're doing this. I mean, a few years ago, and you may or may not remember this, there was a big article, I think it was in the FT or the Journal, and it was talking about Warren Buffett, I'm going to say, paid like $300 in tax, right? Because of the cap, whatever. And you basically borrow against your stock, as you were saying, and you don't pay, but that's the whole thing. His secretary, who's the executive assistant, I think she makes like $250,000 a year. She paid whatever, like, to say 35,000 in tax. And even he said that that's the craziest thing in the world, that he, a billionaire, pays like $1 and she pays whatever she pays on her salary. So I think it's cool that you do shows and you write letters and you talk, but at some point there has to be action. And so I guess my question is, if I'm assuming you're talking mostly to Democrats, I don't see the Republicans doing anything, but maybe you're talking to both. Is anybody actually going to say, listen, let's do this, where people, I'm making up numbers now, from 100,000 to zero, you don't pay any tax. From 100,000 to a million, you're going to pay X. And then at $1 million plus becomes the sliding scale that we're all used to today. I mean, is that what we're looking at, or what are you guys kind of proposing? And then, if I may, on the flip side, what are we doing about companies? Because of course, the big thing is like, oh, we don't want our companies to pay tax; they won't be competitive. Okay, well, so instead we close the federal government, and and Musk runs around like a crazy man, deciding that he's going to cut everything that they don't like. So,
Well, yes. I mean, we are talking to members of Congress, the House and the Senate. Mostly Democrats listen to us more than Republicans, though occasionally we get a Republican audience.
right.
And yeah, there are a few who are proposing essentially what you're talking about. Just yesterday, several members, Tammy Baldwin in the United States Senate from Wisconsin, and Marie Gluesenkamp-Perez from the state of Washington in the House, proposed a law to make some progress in that, closing this ridiculous carried interest loophole that we've been talking about for years.
Right.
And it's just something that Senator Baldwin's been proposing many times over the years. So yeah, there are some members of Congress who are listening, who are trying to take action. There have been for some time. Unfortunately, there are not enough.
Right.
There are very few, if any, on the Republican side. And frankly, not all the Democrats either are, excited about changing the tax rules.
Okay.
There are some who think that their job is to, raise enough money to run the government and annoy people, as few people as possible of the people who talk to them. The people who talk to them are mostly the major donors.
Right.
So that's a problem. But we're trying, and I think that we're making some movement in the right direction. But yeah, we have a long ways to go. But yeah, I agree.
You say that the Patriotic Millionaires has three main priorities, which the first one is taxing the rich, which is great. What is this idea of paying the people and spreading the power?
Sure. Paying the people, and we have another book about that, is essentially we'd like to raise the minimum wage. We believe that the current federal minimum wage, $7.25 per hour, which is in effect in much of it's in effect in the whole country. Some states and localities have higher minimum wages, is not enough for anyone to live on. We believe that people who work full time should have enough money from their job to live on.
And regardless of their job, right? I mean, Because there's plenty of people who say, well, they work full time, but they're a burger flipper, so they don't deserve to make enough to live.
Well, no, we believe that people who work full time at a job should make enough money to live. And honestly, most of the people who make the minimum wage are not young teenagers with summer jobs, but are people trying to support their families who have more than one job and work full time and are, much older than teenagers. So we believe that should happen, that the minimum wage should be much higher, should be tied to inflation. So it automatically goes up over time. The minimum wage, inflation adjusted, was at its peak in the 1960s and has been sort of declining since then, inflation adjusted. So that's the second thing that we talk about. And the third thing we talk about, so I alluded to before, is the extreme influence of rich people in politics. We'd like to make some progress to changing the rules to get big money out of politics. Honestly, I'd especially like to get my money out of politics, but I haven't yet. So we'd like to change the rules to make our politicians less dependent on these major donors and have to spend, less of their time schmoozing with rich people all the time and have more time to talk to the rest of the people. So I'm in New York City. Here in New York City, we have had a reform of our campaign finance system for local elections, and it's changed the face of our city hall. It's changed the faces in our city hall, because instead of being the brother-in-law of a rich real estate developer and getting, 3 people in your family to donate tens of thousands of dollars, now if you want to run for city council or mayor or something like that, if you get a few hundred people to donate $100 or $200 to you, the campaign finance system will match that 8-to-1. You'll have a spending cap of around $200,000 or so to run for city council. And that's enough to run for city council. And not everyone participates, but most people do who are in the city council. And it's really made a big difference. We've just started a system like that for our state legislature. I think it's made a difference. It's only been in effect for 1 year now, so I'm not sure. And one of the things in the laws that the Democrats have proposed in the past and will propose in the future is having a system like that for the United States Congress. So that instead of having to get these multi-$1,000 donations, people are asking for a donation of $100 or so. And then instead of spending all of their time talking to people like me, they have more time to spend talking to the rest of their people. And so, yeah, those are the things that we're working on.
What you about think the oligarchs? Sorry, go ahead, Michael.
Well, I mean, just to continue on that line of thinking around getting the money out of politics. I mean, a big barrier to that is Citizens United. And that decision, that Supreme Court decision. I mean, that seems like it's impossible to get dark money out of politics with that still in place.
Well, yes, I believe that was a bad idea. Or a bad decision, and it is a problem. But I don't think we have to get all big money out of politics. I think if our politicians have money from like a matching funds system, if they're able to leverage small dollar donations, I think that'll make a big difference. And yes, there will be some rich people, and those rich people will use their money to try to gain influence in politics. And then, as you've seen, use their newfound political power to change the rules to get yet more money. And that happens. That's been happening for millennia.
Right.
That's how our country was founded, in fact. If you look at the people who wrote the Constitution, they were the rich people. Look at people, who were politically active then and every period of time since then. And they were rich people. And
but the oligarchs back then, though, at least knew what they didn't know. And they were like, the Constitution was written for the people to govern the government. The oligarchs of today, and we see that with Elon Trump, is the oligarchs are like, we're going to run everything because we know better. You just got lucky. You don't know jack. And the people think that these oligarchs now are like, oh, they're gods. They're so rich. They're nothing. They don't do anything. They just want to add another comma to their bank account or to their financial statement. And granted, there's nothing wrong with that, but it still goes back to what we said in the very early. If you don't help the people that are struggling, at some point, it's off with their head and let them eat cake, France. And I don't think they think that. Listen, Americans are fat and lazy. They're just stupid, fat and lazy. Let's just be blunt. 50% of our population is not going to get their ass to do anything. There's people like you that will. And there's another group that kind of like it, but still
more people are activating though, Stephen. More people are activating these days.
Yeah, they are and they aren't. And
it's just 4 years too late. That's the problem.
Well, no, that's fine. I'm glad we're sending letters and I'm glad we're doing stuff, but you've got to have more of a rally. I mean, now you've got, I think it was a senator or a congressman a couple of days ago that said, Trump should run for a third term. We've lost a sense of perspective and we've lost a sense of history. And that's a problem for the people that now are getting undereducated and that are getting more lazy. So you have, my friend, and I mean this in the nicest sense, a long road ahead of you to get anybody to change anything, because people are just stupid and they want status quo. They don't want to affect whatever. I mean, I get totally wrong. You do this every day.
Yeah, I think a lot fewer than half are fat and lazy for a
okay. 33%. There we go.
I don't think a majority of our people here in the United States are fat and lazy. Okay. I do think that we have a long road to go. And yeah, you're right. A lot of people admire the really rich people. Right. There are people within our membership at Patriotic Millionaires who admire Elon Musk, I think.
Okay.
And yeah, he accomplished a lot in building electric cars and satellites in space and all kinds of stuff. I think he's a really smart guy too. I'm not in favor of oligarchs running the country. Mm-hmm. I'm not in favor of some of the stuff he does, but I don't think he's stupid. I don't think he's lazy.
Do you have a relationship with the Trump administration yet?
No, I would not say I have a relationship with the Trump administration.
Are you trying to have a relationship with the Trump administration to see if they'll talk to you about some of your changes?
We'd be happy to talk to them. We try to reach out. We have a staff of people that do that. I don't think that they're too friendly to our point of view.
Right. Well,
but we talk to anybody. I mean,
right.
Some
obviously. So.
The senior senator from Louisiana, Bill Cassidy, has been somewhat receptive to some of the ideas we proposed.
Okay.
We have been talking to Republicans from time to time. There are a lot of people who, are conservative, who believe like we do, because I think our point of view is actually more conservative.
Right.
Than Elon Musk's. For one thing, if you think of the original meaning of conservative. So, I mean, I do think, yes, I agree with you that we have a long ways to go. I'm running a group of a few hundred rich people who are trying to make a simple point that the idea that, these policies are good for the rich people and everyone should like them because they're all going to be rich someday is just false.
Right.
So we have some access. Many of our people are political donors, and we have a lot more access to our political leaders than many Americans do, which is on one hand part of the problem, but maybe could be part of the solution. And we're working on it. And yeah, you're right. We haven't won yet, and we have a long ways to go, but we're trying.
Well, tell us about the patriotic part, because you call yourselves the Patriotic Millionaires. I think that's important because lots of people, conservative and Democratic, are saying are considering themselves patriotic too. The American freedoms, the American way, and that sounds like that's a big part of your flagship.
Well, yeah. First of all, we chose that name deliberately to be provocative. The founder of our group, Erica Payne, who's the president, is a marketing genius, and deliberately chose the name Patriotic Millionaires to be provocative. And, some of our members don't like it. They don't like pointing out they're millionaires. Back in the day, my mother-in-law didn't even want to put my books, where guests would see them because she was afraid of, being associated with a millionaire, even though anyone who was in her home would know she's a millionaire. That was okay. But yeah, we deliberately chose a provocative thing. And yeah, we believe that paying your fair share, contributing to your nation, doing stuff like that is patriotic. There used to be music videos back in the 1940s of how patriotic it is to pay taxes. They'd have people, looking at military aircraft and say, "Oh, I helped pay for this airplane just like John Rockefeller did." And it used to be the patriotic thing to all chip in and pay your fair share and do not. And then, in the a few years later, Michael Douglas, went in a movie and said, "Greed is good." And during the Reagan administration, people thought, "Oh, it's good to be greedy and not cooperate." And Donald Trump said that only stupid people pay taxes. And I don't think any of those were right. And so we're trying to sort of, as best we can, move things the other direction again. And does that answer your question, Michael?
Yeah, and I mean, if you were to, so now let's say you're speaking to an average 9 to 5 salaried worker or maybe hourly wage worker in the United States. I mean, what is the message to them as opposed to the message you're giving to the electeds and the politicians who are already in office?
The message to them, and I hope I am speaking to some of those on your show here.
Yeah.
The message to them is that you are getting screwed by these rich people because you have tax deducted from your paycheck every single week, and other people who are making far more money than you are not doing that. And that's part of the reason why they are getting richer and richer and richer every single year. And you are just kind of struggling to get by, perhaps, and not making much progress towards saving for your retirement. And that you should vote for people who want to change that. That is our message.
So let me ask you this question. So we have who we have in the White House now, and he's got his new adopted son, Elon. What's your thought on what his adopted son is doing with the government? And he wants to slash and burn and blah 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 blah, which is interesting. The jury's out if it's going to be good, bad, or indifferent. Because that's where, we need taxes, the people are paying. Well, then you pay. But my point is, so what's your thought on what he's doing then? Is he going to be a hindrance or an actual help, or is it just making him more powerful?
Well, I think the latter, definitely, that he wants to be more powerful. He's a very, to be polite, self-confident kind of guy.
You think?
And he believes he knows better than everyone else about pretty much all topics, as far as I can tell.
Right.
And that's true with a lot of rich people. I was meeting earlier this week with Mark Cuban, and he also is, shall we say, highly self-confident.
Right.
So it's true of Republicans and Democrats in many cases. And, it's only the third week of the Trump administration.
Yeah.
When we're having huge numbers of people laid off, what I'm thinking actually is what they want to do is get so many of the career employees out of the government,
right,
so as to make it impossible to rebuild the systems of, things like food and drug testing and bank regulation and all of that.
Right.
They want to make it impossible to even rebuild that, after they're out of power in 4 years or whatever. So yeah, I am concerned that they want to kind of decimate, well, more than decimate, they want to eliminate most of sort of the regulatory environment. And a lot of Americans don't even realize it. They don't even realize that when they go to the grocery store to buy ice cream, that there's a reason why they're confident that ice cream is safe. And it's because of all these rules and regulations from the Food and Drug Administration. They don't even realize that they can deposit money in the bank and not even think about, whether or not the bank is going to be there the next day. That's because of regulations from the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation and the Fed and the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau. So I think that if the administration does indeed continue this route, and it's only been the third week, so I'm not sure what's happening yet. I think, in a few years, Americans will start to realize that that there's actually some benefits to regulating certain things, that they can't do everything themselves. They can't investigate and research the safety of the ice cream manufacturer themselves. They can't research the prudence of the bank themselves. And there's a lot of things that they need a sort of organized collective of people to do. And we have a name for an organized collective of people: government.
Right.
So, yeah.
But unfortunately, I think, and that was a wonderful civics lesson. I mean that as a compliment. I'm not trying to be a smartass, even though I'm from New York. But unfortunately, the people that are running the democracy or dictatorship this week, I don't think they ever took a civics lesson. And the problem is most of the people we're going to speak to don't know what civics lessons are, and they don't know what the government does. And they're like, yeah, it's bloated, it's this. Even in the FBI, they're like, we're going to cut tier. I just read an article, I think it was in either the Bloomberg or New York Times this morning. Spooks are us. They're worried now that they're going to come in and start cutting spooks are us to make us weaker in national security. So I don't think the American population as a whole really realizes the damage that could be done or is going to be done, say, over the next 3 weeks or the next 4 years or 8 years, depending on how the king gets his new crown. And I think that's going to be an issue. So that's why I keep saying I like what you guys are trying to do. I just think it's going to be an uphill battle because the oligarchs are like, screw the little people, tax, tax, tax. And by the way, let's not tax companies that are making trillions of dollars, and let's not tax the CEOs that are making 30, 50, 60, $100 million. Let's tax the workers to keep them down. So that's why I'm saying at some point, 300 million people, and to your point, only 30 million are fat and lazy. They at some point are going to be like, screw this. And at some point, you're either going to have a civil war or a revolution because people are going to get tired of, I can't pay this, I can't pay that, and I can't pay that.
Yeah.
And how that looks, I don't know. So I'm hoping you guys resolve it before we get to that point.
I agree. I hope so too. I think you're right. That's sort of why we created the group, so that we could try to change the course of the nation before we get to the point of a revolution.
Right.
And maybe we'll succeed and maybe we won't. And I don't know what's going to happen over the next, whatever number of years.
Right.
But yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah. Do you have any young people? Do you have any, because you talked about your granddaughter and how you want to leave a better world for her. Do you have any young people involved in the Patriotic Millionaires, and how are you bringing them up into the fray and amplifying their voices?
Yeah, I mean, our members vary in age quite a bit. They've some older than me. I'm 65. Some of them are, retired Google engineers. But yeah, some of them are young people. Rich young people are mostly heirs and heiresses to large fortunes. People who have full-time jobs sometimes don't have time to get involved in politics. It's a full-time thing. But yeah, we are trying to get more young people involved. We're representing, a small portion of society, patriotic millionaires. That many millionaires in our country. So, we're trying to, work in our one little lane here and perform this one little mission that we're working on of helping these relatively small number of rich people speak out and make the point that these policies that are creating gross inequality is not good or desirable for rich people either. So we're working on it. And yes, we do have, some people far younger than me in our organization here.
Very cool. I think what you're doing is great. I actually hope you do make a dent. I'm hopefully optimistic, but having seen what's going on, I'm like I said, hopefully optimistic. But I think let them eat cake is going to come sooner than you. Unfortunately, a couple hundred or 300 or 1,000 millionaires making change, because I think people are just going to get fed up.
Well, yeah, I mean, we're working. I mean, I was in Greece in the summer of 2013. One of the things I put in our book is how I was, I walked over to the window of a top floor conference room at a bank during a lunch break, so people wouldn't see I was taking 2 desserts.
Right.
And I thought I was watching a parade for a minute, and I realized I was watching a riot moving down the street.
Yeah.
Maybe Michael's read the anecdote before.
Yeah.
You know, and I remember turning around and thinking, was I doing any good for the rest of the people of Greece other than helping a couple dozen bank executives save their jobs?
Right.
And a few months later, I decided to do this full time, policy and advocacy work. And yeah, I would prefer not having the United States next year be like Greece was, you know, a dozen years ago. I may or may not succeed. It's true. I'm trying.
Which we appreciate. What does BlackRock think about this? They've said, hey, we're behind you. We think it's great. Or are they just like, shh, be quiet. We need to make more trillions of dollars.
Well, those are not incompatible.
Right.
Frankly, most of the money that's in all these funds is retirement money of people like teachers and firefighters and, you know, workers of all sorts in their 401ks.
Right.
And so gross inequality is actually not good for the money management business either, because it's really dependent on making fees from managing mostly 401ks and pension funds for lots of people. And secondly, BlackRock as an institution, I don't know what position many of the individuals who work there, the other people I know, I mean, the vast majority see things the way I do and share your fears of the coming revolution or something. You know, almost all intelligent people I met agree with you that we're concerned about, you know, the people are going to get fed up and stop putting up with this gross inequality eventually, and eventually maybe coming soon. So individual people I know in the fund management business, agree with me too. There are some who want to take advantage of tax loopholes or whatever, and well, whatever. But most people who I know see the same point of view that we do.
Very good. It's good to know, because, you know, I think people take a look at a BlackRock or Carlyle group is like, oh, they don't care. But it's good to know that these guys actually have, I don't know, gray matter and, you know, triple point IQs, unlike the people that are running the show right now, that go, you know what, there is an issue. We need to fix it. Where these other people are more like, there's no issue. Everything is great. We've got this. And I think that's a bad way to look, that you think you know everything. I don't care how, I'm self-confident too, but I know what I know and I know what I don't know.
And I think, well, one thing, the two firms you named are very different. I mean, BlackRock employs thousands of people, you know, many here in New York and in many other places too, you know, who get up in the morning and do their job and get their paycheck and pay their taxes like everyone else does, and try and do the best they can to do a good job for their clients. A Carlyle Group run by David Rubenstein is a private equity, fund management company. And they're the people who take advantage of this carried interest loophole that we were talking about a while ago that Tammy Baldwin wants to deal with.
All right, so let's go after Carlisle, everybody. That's who you go after. They're in Washington. We'll put their addresses below, you know, when the revolution starts. So,
John, did you have something for us?
Yeah, no, I was going to say that at the core of this is the income tax, or, you know, the tax system, you know, as a whole, right? You know, at the local level, you know, at the state level, and then at the federal level. You know, we need a reform at all these different stages of taxation, right? Because
I agree.
Right, and that's if we attack that, I think we can eliminate all of these you know, issues of inequality and people avoiding.
Eliminate is a strong, maybe a stronger word than I would use, but lessen, address.
Yeah.
make it more palatable for the rest of the people before the revolution. That would be good. So,
well, hopefully we can prevent the revolution.
There you go. Morris, before we let you go, any final words? We're going to put your link below to your site so people can reach out to you if they want to join. Anything you want to say before we finally let you go? We're going to move on to what we call Lost and Found, which of course you won't be here for, but you can watch it later. But we want to thank you. But is there anything that you would like to say? One last thing to the fans that are going to be watching?
Sure. Look at our website. Join up. We're doing a lot of things. We're talking to a lot of people. We've got, cohorts of our Great Economy Project running with small groups in North Carolina and Michigan, Wisconsin. We're trying to be active. We're trying to get more people involved and speaking up on our side to let the politicians know that there are people, intelligent people, who don't agree with them and who, want to make things better and hopefully head off the revolution.
That would be very cool. Morris,
You
it's a
heard it
pleasure.
here first.
Anytime you want to come back and tell us what's going on or share your thoughts, we would love to have you. And if you want to bring on a representative one day, feel free, and we can have that debate with them as well. It'd be very cool.
Sure. Pleasure talking to you, gentlemen.
Dan, pleasure
Thank
talking to
you,
you.
Morris.
Have a wonderful day.
Thank you,
Cheers.
Morris.
Bye, Morris. Very nice gentleman.
Well,
That was I like that. I like that he's that he knows people that think like we think. I don't mean that that's a good thing or bad thing, but we're all afraid of the same thing. Doesn't matter how much money you have, but we're all afraid that the people that don't have it are going to get fed up one day and just go, screw you. So I like.
We know that the inequality is dramatic, is getting worse, and it has to be solved one way or another. And I think we need to approach it. I mean, I understand where you have this idea of fear, but I also feel like we've got to embrace the reality of it and welcome.
I have no idea. I'm not afraid of the revolution. I'm good. I'll get on a plane and go. I don't care. I'm good.
Right.
I just have I just think, why do we need to get to that point? Why can't we help
why
people in America? Why do we need to get to the point of having one?
Yes.
The flip of it is when he was talking about people at 725 and making hamburgers, those people are gone. All the immigrants that were there, if you will, the Hispanics, they've left. Like they're getting this is like Hoover's 1930 all of a sudden. We're just picking up, you look Hispanic, you're getting deported type stuff. So there's not going to be anybody flipping hamburgers anymore.
We'll have to see.
We'll have to see. It's saying, and John's here illegally, and they're going to deport him.
John's back on the show.
Hunting Nazi
I think
gold.
you're being over dramatic. But
that's how we get. That's the clips. That's how we get the shorts. That's how we get people to watch the show.
Oh,
if I was just going to be like,
I'm with you, John. I'm with you, John.
Great, great show, and everything is wonderful. Who's going to watch that show? Nobody. It's like Fox. We got to get people excited and riled up.
Oh,
don't
put us in that window.
But it's good to have you back. Thanks for coming in late, David. I think we're going to do, gentlemen, anything else we want to say about Mr. Morris? Mr. Morris Pearl was our guest. We'll have his links below.
We'll check in with the Patriotic Millionaires. There are 22 million. There are 22 million millionaires in the United States, I found out. So there's a lot of room to grow.
Oh, damn. That's so, how unfortunate.
No, it's okay. Listen, we put our pants on the same like everybody else. Two gentlemen holding each leg. It's just the way it is. And I think everybody should have that. And with Musk, you'll have robots doing that for you.
Right.
Yeah, some of the robots will be holding your pants.
Two robots.
Then, if you say anything bad against the administration, the robot will kill you.
Well, hold on to your pants, because we're now going to do Lost and Found.
Very cool.
Ever wonder how millions vanish into thin air, or how a single dollar can make all the difference? Join us on Lost and Found, where we dive into the wild world of financial mysteries. From misplaced fortunes to unexpected windfalls, we unravel the stories of people, companies, organizations, and even governments who've lost and found millions. Lost and Found, because every dollar has a story.
We're back. How exciting. All right, John, you were away hunting Nazi gold. So do you have your Lost and Found, or is it just you're not ready?
What do you got?
I have a small one,
Okay, what's your small Lost and Found? And we're not talking about you in general.
In Pennsylvania, the police in a little town called Greencastle, which is about 65 miles from Harrisburg, the capital, over the weekend, they're investigating 100,000 eggs stolen. Because we have an egg crisis because of bird flu.
Okay.
So it's worth about 40,000, but as you say, everybody's not doing well. So obviously, egg theft is big these days. So,
well, 100,000 eggs. 100,000 eggs.
You got to be hungry. I actually saw the other day. a skit someone sent me on Instagram where the guy comes over to this guy, he acts all shady, he opens up his trench coat, and he goes, you can get 2 organic or 4 whites, and he was talking about eggs, and it was the funniest 30 seconds I have ever seen about like how he's selling eggs like you'd be selling like drugs. And that's the point we're getting at. And it's true, eggs are going up. And the
gold
promise that
watches.
eggs were going to come down. It's ridiculous. So I think that's $1 found for whoever stole the 100,000 eggs.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
I love it. That's great.
Our loss for the chickens, though.
Yeah.
I feel bad for them. So
Yeah.
there you go. Lost for the
All right,
chickens, good for the
That's
eggs.
the chickens.
I got a couple for you.
ahead.
The first is that scientists doing very important research have decided that the world does feel brighter when you wake up in the morning, as opposed to other times of day. For example, at midnight.
Or if you don't wake up, life is better
Or
when
if
you
you don't,
wake up.
or if you don't wake up, that's
If you don't wake up, then
Yeah,
my God, are we
that's
paid
no
for this
good.
research? You know what,
Somebody-
Elon?
well,
Somebody
Somebody
paid
for it.
Somebody
Somebody-
paid for it.
Elon,
Yeah.
I agree
Well-
with you now 1,000%. If you cut whatever research you want to cut.
Well, I'll tell you who didn't pay for it, because we
Yeah.
keep jabbing this sad organization, Boeing. Their
Yeah.
sad decline. Boeing did not pay for that research study because they just lost $2 billion with their Starliner program.
Yep.
And that's over and they're actually saying that they may record additional losses in future periods in their most recent 10K filing. So Boeing
Unless, of course, you want to go to the special pop-up Boeing shop where you can buy lots of eggs. There you go.
The problem
That's
with,
right.
here's the problem with Boeing is that when you send people to space, you have to be able to bring them back.
Yeah,
so
that would be
that's I mean,
Why-
little things like
Why
that.
would you want to do that?
I'm just saying, it's a thought.
Just a
You
thought.
don't have to. It's just if I was running Boeing and I was making $36 million a year,
You might want
I
to do
would
that.
probably put the engineers back in charge and not the guys in suits that don't have a frigging clue of what a plane is, and all they're there is to make shareholder value. And shareholder value will go up when your planes don't crash and you make spaceships that bring the people back. But wait till they have the next spaceship that goes up there and it explodes in space, killing the astronauts. They're going to lose a shitload because they're not going to be ready for that lawsuit. So Boeing needs to revamp who runs the company. When they changed from engineering guys where they would speak and do to becoming, we want to be streamlined and profitable about 15 years ago is when they started their decline, and their decline has continuously gone down, and they will be out of business. Mark my words, within
Let's hope
the end of
not.
this decade.
Well,
Boeing is
You know
over
what?
by the end of the decade.
No, but the reality is America is the country of creative destruction. If you're not an innovative company, you got to go.
Yep, and Boeing's out of business by 2030. I'm telling you, mark my words. They won't
All
be
right,
unless they
Mark, you
change.
heard it here. You heard it here.
And you know what?
Unless,
If
of course,
I
they're
run
in
Boeing,
the second-hand egg company.
we're profitable the second year, making more money than God, because you know why? We go back to the old ways that Boeing did it, with the real people running it, not these stupid morons that don't have a clue. And that's the problem.
Real
That's the problem
people.
in America.
Real
Yeah, I'm
people.
talking to the engineers that are like, hey,
we
need to
will
do this,
we will have a show. One show we'll do where actually Stephen can define what real people are and what it was in the good old days.
Yeah.
When of course
Listen,
Charlie Munger, he I think he said it all about America when he said we've solved the poverty, we've solved the hunger problem in the USA. We've made everybody obese.
we have,
So-
and you know why we do that? So when there's no food, you cook the fat people because they taste really good, and there you go. We don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
So you
Was that
keep
song?
eating people.
Wasn't that a
Good
movie?
old American.
Yeah. That was a movie. Well, the
Good
good thing
old
is at the
American.
lizard people Illuminati meetings, we
Yes.
just want to keep giving you crap. So when we roast you, it's good for us. And when I talk about the good old Davids, I'm talking about in like 13 billion years ago, before you guys
right,
ruined the planet,
yeah.
when we were just here as lizard people. All right, now
You got a
this
lost
one,
and found.
we have a lost and found. This is my favorite lost and found for the week. This guy has become my new best friend. The Colombian president, Gaston Petro, claims cocaine is no worse than whiskey. Leaders remark, were televised in a cabinet meeting. This is an article from the FT on February 5th. The Colombian president said cocaine is no worse than whiskey, and as a product of coca, the drug-based ingredient, surges under his presidency. He was a leftist guerrilla. He feels that the U.S.-led war on drugs is BS, and that they should legalize it and put it on the shelf just like whiskey, and you can buy it, and the cartels would go away because then everything would be legalized. It would be a business. And you know what's funny? I agree with him.
You might actually have a point.
Yeah, you should legalize all drugs. Legalize all drugs.
There's some drugs you shouldn't like aspirin. That shouldn't be legalized. But anyway, I'm just saying with cocaine, if you tax it, I think you cut our deficit in about a day. And then what ends up happening is it doesn't become this, I gotta get it, and then they're not mixing it with bad things. It's mixed properly. You sell it like an alcohol. You sell it, I guess where they sell alcohol, and there you go. And I agree with the president of Colombia. So kudos to you, sir.
Is that a found for Colombia?
That's a found dollar, not only for taxes globally, but for Colombia, so they can stop with the guerrillas and the fighting. And John knows we've been to Colombia together. We did deals there, not in that field, but I don't think that's a bad thing. I think if you get it like prohibition was, and you get alcohol under control, you get this under control, and you can go into your local chemist shop and go, I like whatever, how they sell it, by the kilo.
They used to do,
and that's it.
Before the FDA, they did do that. So
yeah, and they also put real cocaine in Coca-Cola until like 1930 something. Right. And that's why all the kids were happy.
That's the great thing about this segment, because if you found $1, right, you could roll it up and then go, there you go. So there you go. So
worth $1. There you go.
Allegedly.
You guys are really now David.
Well, once again, kudos to the president of Colombia, and this is an open invitation because we know he watches the show because he
just
sends
don't
us
overregulate it. Because that's what happened to cannabis in the U.S. Right?
Don't overregulate it. He's right.
No, I got it. But to the president of Colombia, you, sir, are more than welcome to come on our show and tell us all about how you want to make cocaine like wine. I have a lot of friends in Miami. I think they would love to hear it. Anyway, David.
What do you got, David?
All right, David.
This is actually something very very nice, and I think the kind of like the picture says it all. I can't
you should probably put the picture up and hold on
any more than that. And it's a Polish supermarket
adds magnifying glasses to trolleys for visually impaired.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's as simple as that.
It's as simple as that.
As simple as that.
Only in the Polish market for the visually impaired.
No. This is actually, I think, belongs to Vance. I think is the name of the German company. They produce like 2 million trolleys, shopping trolleys a year.
Oh wow.
Okay.
So, and this particular Polish supermarket chain decided that it would be really good, because this is an optional extra, that'd be really good for their clients to have this magnifying glass on the shopping trolley.
I like that.
It for me.
Yeah,
I agree.
I'd like that here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it turns out that the median age in Poland is the population is very much aging. So the median age in 1950 was 25, and in 2012, and by 2050 it'll be 51 median age. So that's pretty dramatic.
Yeah, well look at this show. You know.
Look at David. David brings down the median age by like, oh my god.
I thought that was just a
All right, so that's a found for the supermarket.
That's a found dollar.
I think it's just found for everybody, because a lot of people struggle in the supermarket, and
I agree.
No more
Publix and HEB and Ralph's and Randall's and all of you people get magnifying glasses for, especially in Florida. Publix should be doing that left and right because all their
I'm gonna invest in the magnifying glass industry now.
I like it. That is very cool. I like that. Well, boys, this has been a fun show. We had the Morris Pearl, an ex-BlackRock guy with the Patriotic Millionaires. John's back from hunting Nazi gold to no avail. And next week, Valentine's Day, we have one of our favorites. So the show won't be on until I think it's 2:30 or 2 o'clock Eastern time. I know it's on later. We have Michael Collins, who's going to talk next week. Is coming to talk to us about. No,
it'll be 3 o'clock Eastern. 3 o'clock Eastern.
Or 2 o'clock Central. Then
2 o'clock Central.
Right. It's going to come he's going to come talk to us about his favorite topic, China, which John loves the Chinese. He has Chinese food every day.
Well,
So it'll be good to see how that goes.
not just
yeah.
China, but corporate piracy. Corporate piracy.
You're going to wear an eye patch? Oh, that's going to be awesome. With a
Yeah.
parrot
We
and
should,
everything.
we all need to-
That's,
yeah, we're going to wear an eye patch.
I'm just trying to help. Well, to all the fans, thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and like. If you don't want to look at our pretty faces, go to wherever you get your podcasts, TWO, which is 2 Old Farts Making Noises, and you will find this show as other shows there. Or here on the channel, go to the playlist and you can see all the shows that we have there. Don't forget to subscribe and like. Thank you for watching. And if you'd like to be a guest on the show, reach out to us. And if not, have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see everybody next Friday or Saturday, I should say, depending on when you're watching this. Anything else, boys?
That's it, I think.
Welcome back,
Bye.
John.
Welcome
All right,
back.
thanks.
Oh, well, hello.
And we are